Finishing his 8th term, the member from Lyon, Representative Swedzinski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, members. Democrats in this room, Republicans in this room, the people are watching. And I was reminded of that most mornings when I was late for committee and my mom would call and say, "Chris, where are you? I'm looking at your seat and you're not there." It was just a couple times, but it wasn't all the time. But that is true. And I was thinking about, as everyone was sharing their thoughts of their careers tonight, or this afternoon, about recruiting candidates. And oftentimes when we joke that oftentimes the candidate you recruit, the spouse, the husband, or the wife, would be the better candidate. And when I think and I look across this room, and I look at my wife, Jessica, you would be the better candidate. You're a great mom. You're a great wife. You're a great partner. Thank you. I would recommend each of you thank your spouse if you have one. And if you need to get one, go get one. Because they'll be better than you. And I want to thank my 3 daughters, Winifred and Hildy and Adeline. You are beautiful women. Those girls grew up on this house floor. And to my sons, Harry and Crosby, man, you make me look good. Thank you. You guys are great young men. You have, all 5 of you children have a great future. To my parents, for a mom who is always willing to call and call me out, and who helped shape me to the young man that I am. And one of the stories that you often hear living a life on a farm, growing up in the 80s, is my mom did a lot of work with a group called Birthright. And I can remember a number of years ago, this time of year, she got a graduation invitation. And that graduation invitation was from a girl she did not know, from about 30 miles away from our home in Lincoln County. And it said, "We'd like you to come to our party. You don't know who I am." And then it said, "Over." And on the back side of that card, it said, 18 years ago, you had a conversation with my mom. She was debating whether or not to have me. And because of that conversation, I want you to come to my graduation. Friends, it's impactful parents that make impactful kids. And to my dad, who's passed away, no matter how much work we had to do on the farm, feeding cattle, picking rock, building equipment, we could always find time during the middle of the day, around 11 o'clock, to make it into the shop to work on a project. And I used to think it was just to work on a project, because it was actually because my dad liked to listen to Rush Limbaugh so bad. And because we didn't have Bluetooth or any other technology, that's the only place we could do it. And for that, I thank you for that memory. And to my dad, who was also blind, he never got to see my wife or my kids while on this earth. But I know that the first time he looked on the face of Christ, he also got to look on the face of my wife and kids. And it's that relationship with the Lord that is so important to me. that I would encourage each of you that if you do not have one, to pursue that relationship with Him. Because this world is full of firsts and lasts. The first time my wife walked into this building was after we were elected to represent us here in this building. At 30 years old, she walked through those doors between the SOB, right by the governor's office, and she's like, I've never been in here before. And then we came to this floor and served together as a husband and wife, the people of Southwest Minnesota. And it's not easy when you start this job with one and you end up with five. We did make it home once in a while. And I can remember Paul Anderson many times asking, after an election, everyone's coming back to the Capitol, so are you going to have another kid? Or did you have another kid? And the answer was usually yes. And I thank you for that friendship, especially as a freshman, to Paul Anderson, and Bob Gunther, and Dean Erdahl, and Greg Davids, and that mentorship of inviting people in, to include them from places where you're not from. And when we're talking about singing karaoke or whatever, I can tell you what, if you can sing karaoke in front of someone, you're probably not going to hate that someone because they've seen you probably at your worst. I want to thank all of you for your willingness to serve. It's a challenge to be among challenging people, among challenging times. We each dig our heels in, some of us way better at it than others, to represent what we think is best. And when we think about right and wrong, and winning and losing, whether it's in marriage, if your goal is to win an argument with your spouse, that means your spouse has to lose it. And when we're on this floor, I challenge us both that if our goal is to win the argument, the other side will lose the argument. To build a better marriage is to build a better state. And our goal as Republicans and Democrats should not be that I will win the argument and you will lose, or I will lose, you know what I'm saying. But is to how do we build a better Minnesota? How do we come up with ideas that maintain constitutional rights, protect life and liberty and individual freedom, that empowers families, that empowers communities, that empowers people around our state? Because if we win in this body from a collective standpoint where bipartisanship can reign, we can all win the argument for Minnesotans and ultimately our country. It appears at times we are very divided. We're divided in the ideals that sometimes separate us. And how do we overcome those divisions? We create friendships. We can seek out the commonalities that make us who we are stronger. In some cases, that's our faith. And sometimes that's in what our beliefs are on a particular issue, whether it's education or energy or other policy. To Joe and Ron and Nathan, thank you for your friendship. And to each and every one of you, I would recommend developing those relationships across the aisle. Kaz, Joe, Dawn, Tom, Scott, Brian. You folks have names for your classes. We have the COVID class, we have the majority makers. And I'm like, you know what? In 2010, I was elected, and I don't know if we really got a class, other than the longest state government shutdown in U.S. history class. I don't know, does that have a ring to it? Folks, we live in a diverse state with wonderful people. And we could not get here without relying awfully heavy on those that came before us. Whether it's members of the House, never of the Senate, but truly our families. This is a beautiful building. This is a beautiful place to serve. And it was said earlier, if this place ever loses its awe, you should leave. Well, I can tell you what, I'm leaving, but I haven't lost the awe, and that's tough. I love this state. I love each and every one of you, even though it doesn't seem like it sometimes across the aisle, but I do. You all care. You all want what's best for us as a state. I want to thank Sharon Goblish, one of the best RNLAs this side of the Mississippi. Mark Nisley for his work, Indiana Smallman, and a host of great LAs who have served in the past. Mark, thank you. This place truly would not be the same if it wasn't for the institutional knowledge of the staff. And I hate to thank some of the lobbyists too, but they do bring a lot to the table. And my kids especially want to thank Pat for all the gallons upon gallons upon gallons of candy that they've taken over the years. And as a reminder, on the front corners, there's usually mints, members. That's not for us. Those mints are really for the staff so they don't have to smell our bad breath. And so as you step out of this room, for sometimes the first time, for the last time, remember, there are firsts and there are lasts. There is the first speech you give on the House floor. There'll be this speech that I give on the House floor. It'll be the first time you bring a child onto this House floor. And there will be a last time you bring one of your wonderful 5 kids onto this House floor. And I see babies being bounced on that side, of newborns, of toddlers. Bring them to this space. Show them what it's like to be a parent and a legislator and a lover of the Lord. Thank you, Minnesota, for the opportunity to serve. Have a great summer.